Oklahoma. Welcome back to TV Teaching for 3rd grade. Today is Thursday, October 15th. I'm Mrs. Oslin. Before we get started, let's take a moment to check in with our emotions. If you're not sure what emotion you're feeling, you can use this chart to help you. Friends, what do you notice about our chart? Mr. Kevin looks angry in the red. Let's think about something that Mr. Kevin could do when he's feeling red and angry. Let's take some think time. You might have said that Mr. Kevin could utilize one of our strategies. He could do hand breathing. He could practice getting back on track by feeling his feet solid on the floor. He could use a mindful jar. Or this week, we're practicing thinking about gratitude. So let's practice that together. Take a moment and think about what is something in your life that makes you happy, something that you're grateful or thankful for. Go ahead, take a minute. Now I will model. Rafa, I am grateful for the wonderful people that I work with that can make me laugh. Now your turn, 3rd graders. Tell someone around you what you're thankful for. Now that we have an attitude of gratitude, we are ready to get started with our lesson today. The materials that you are going to need are your learning buddy. I have Rafa. You might have another stuffed animal or a pet rock, or maybe there's someone in the room that can do some thinking and talking with you. You're also going to need your ELA packet and a pencil. You gather those materials and meet me over at the screen. Before we get started, let's remind ourselves of the strategies that we're using to help us stay focused. The ones that we're really going to focus on today are preview the text to give yourself some background information about what you will read. That means we're going to read through our text today twice. The first time, we're just going to think about what do we already know about this topic. Then the second time we go through, we're going to look at some of the words, some of the vocabulary that our author used, and try to figure out some words that we're not sure what they mean. You're going to keep your eyes focused on the words on the page and create a picture in your mind of what you're reading. That is one of our self-assessment strategies that readers use. When you're reading, you try to picture it in your mind. And if you're not able to picture what you're reading in your mind, then you need to go back and use a strategy to help you understand what you're reading. Lastly, I want you to keep track of how much you read, pages and minutes, and keep that in your reading log that you're sharing with your teacher, especially this week during your conferences. Today, our learning intention, what I want us thinking about is, I'm learning to self-monitor, that means monitor what's happening in your brain, keep track, to identify unfamiliar words and use strategies to make meaning. What that means is while you're reading, you're thinking about the words on the page and paying attention to, do you know what the words mean? And if you don't, I'm going to provide you with some strategies today to help you figure out what the words mean. Now, I'm really excited to share this text with you today. The title is Swirl by Swirl, Spirals in Nature, and it's a poem by Joyce Sidman. The pictures are by Beth Cromies, and this illustrator won the Caldecott Medal for The House in the Night. So the author and illustrator of this book are award-winning authors and illustrators. So as we go through, we're going to read through the first time. Think about, what do you already know about this topic? Swirl by swirl, spirals in nature. Let's look at this picture. What do you know about swirls or spirals in nature? What is something that you know of in nature that is in the shape of a swirl or a spiral? Take some think time. Now, if you were self-monitoring, which means paying attention to your thoughts, and you noticed that you weren't sure what the words spiral or swirl meant, our illustrator is giving us a clue. There's a snail on the front cover, and you'll notice the shell of the snail is in a spiral or swirl shape. So something in nature that is in that shape is a snail. Now, as we read, think about what you know about snails, or use this picture to help you figure out what else in nature is the shape of a swirl or a spiral. A spiral is a snuggling shape. It fits neatly in small places. Coiled tight, warm and safe, it waits. For a chance to expand. A spiral is a growing shape. It starts small and gets bigger. Swirl by swirl. It unwraps itself one soft curl at a time. A spiral is a strong shape. Its outer curves protect what's inside. As we're reading, I also want you to pay attention to the line breaks of this text, because this is a poem, and poetry is meant to be broken up in lines differently than just a regular paragraph that we would read in, say, a narrative or an informational text. And I want you to pay attention to that and think about why poems do that. What does that line break, the way that I'm pausing differently, make you think or feel about this text? It knows how to defend itself. A spiral reaches out to exploring the world. It winds around and around, and clings tight, grasping what it needs. It never has trouble holding on. There are so many things in nature that are in the spiral or swirl shape. Let's take a moment and think about, are you building on your background knowledge? Do you know more now about spirals and swirls in nature than you did when we first started reading this book? Take a moment and look on this page and see if you can learn about something else in nature that is a spiral or swirl. You might have noticed the monkey's tail swirled or spiraled around the tree branch, grasping it. You might have noticed the elephant trunk, the baby elephant trunk, holding on to the adult elephant tail. And notice the shape of the trunks. It's a spiral shape. A spiral is a clever shape. It is graceful and strong. It is bold. and beautiful. A spiral moves. It swirls through water, gathering bubbles. It twists through air with clouds on its tail. It stretches starry arms through space, spinning and sparkling, forever expanding. Or it curls up, neat and small, warm and safe. A spiral is a snuggling shape. As we continue reading, think about the words and self-monitor. Are there words in this text and you don't know what that means? Keep those in mind and we'll go back and try to figure out what they mean. Spiral, a shape that curls around a center point. Now that we have looked at things in nature that are a spiral, a shape that curls around a center point, we're going to go back and reread our poem. And when we do that, you're going to think about what in nature is a spiral shape and use the background knowledge that you've built by reading the text, previewing the text, a good strategy to help you stay focused. And we're going to use the words around the context clues, the other words in the text, to help us figure out words that we don't know. Swirl by Swirl, Spirals in Nature by Joyce Sidman. Pictures by Beth Cromies. A spiral is a snuggling shape. It fits neatly in small places. Coiled tight, warm and safe, it waits. Now I'm noticing the word coiled. Say coiled. Coiled tight. This makes me think of what I know about snakes. Do you see the bull snake over here? Do you see how the bull snake is in a spiral shape? It's coiled tight, which means it's wrapped around itself tightly. Warm and safe, it waits. Here we used what we know about spirals, and we used what we know about snakes and the picture. And we used the other context clues, coiled tight. That word tight really helped us figure out what coiled means. For a chance to expand. Self-monitor. Do you know what the word expand means? Is the snake in the picture still coiled tight? No. It has stretched out. It has expanded. Now we know expanded means to stretch out or get bigger. A spiral is a growing shape. It starts small and gets bigger. Swirl by swirl. It unwraps itself, one soft curl at a time. A spiral is a strong shape. Its outer curves protect what's inside. It knows how to defend itself. What spirals do you see on this page? I see the horns of the merino sheep. Now, think about the horns on the merino sheep and use what we know, what we read. What is the purpose of the spiral shape of the horns? Take a moment to think. Now, tell your learning buddy, what is the purpose of the spiral shape of the sheep horns? Go ahead. Now, self-monitor. Did you use text evidence? Defend. The purpose of the horns is to defend itself. Let's keep reading. A spiral reaches out too, exploring the world. It winds around and around. And clings tight, grasping what it needs. The word grasping, say grasping. Now, let's think. Self-monitor. Do you know what the word grasping means? If not, I want to teach you and show you how to use context clues. Again, use the other words around the word you don't know to help you figure it out. Let's read that sentence together, starting with and. And clings tight, grasping what it needs. I see this term, clings tight, grasping what it needs. So grasping must mean to cling tight or hold on to something. Let's keep reading and see if there's more clues. It never has trouble holding on. The term holding on validates and confirms what I thought, that grasping means to hold tight, hold on. A spiral is a clever shape. It is graceful and strong. It is bold. And beautiful. What spiral shapes do you see in this photo? Turn and tell your learning buddy all about the spiral shape, the swirls that you see in this photo. Did you notice the spiral of the petals of the calla lily? Did you notice the spiral of the petals of the hibiscus flower? It starts small, and then it expands out bigger and bigger, like a snail or the horns of the sheep. A spiral moves. It swirls through water, gathering bubbles. It twists through air with clouds on its tail. It stretches starry arms through space, spinning and sparkling, forever expanding. There's that word expanding again. And we know, we learned from the snake that expanding means to grow or get bigger. Or it curls up, neat and small, warm and safe. A spiral is a snuggling shape. I thought this was a really interesting word that our author used. snuggling shape. Think about, what do you know about the word snuggling? If you're not sure about the word snuggling, use some context clues. Go back and reread this page and see if the author is giving us a hint. It curls up. So snuggling must mean to curl up, neat and small, warm and safe. A spiral, a shape that curls around a center point. These are actual photographs of some of the things that we saw in the illustrations. Now, as you go off to independently read today, I want you to practice some of our strategies for how to stay focused. Keep track of the minutes and pages that you've read so you can share them with your teacher, sharing with them how you're building your independent reading stamina. I also want you self-monitoring, which means really thinking about the words in your book that you're reading. Pay attention to the ones that you don't know and practice some of our strategies. Use the picture, use your background knowledge, what you already know about the topic, and use context clues, other words around the unknown word to figure it out. And you can write some of these unknown words and the definitions that you came up with in your reading notebook. Now, while you're on your 5-minute break, you're all going to get your drink of water and go to the bathroom and stretch your legs, but you're also going to gather the materials that you will need for math when we come back from our break so that we don't take up our math time to do that. So while you're on your break, get your whiteboard or paper and something to write with. Keep your learning buddy, and you will need counters to count with. Thank you, third graders, so much for reading with me today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a great break. Bye.
welcome back, third graders. I hope you had a great break. Before we get going on our big math lesson, we're going to do What's Missing Thursday. So this is where we're going to figure out what's missing in this equation. We're going to use what we know about numbers, what we know about parts and wholes to help us solve. Private think time. What's missing? If you said an addend is missing, or a part is missing, how do we find the missing part? I want you to think back to number bonds. Think back to what you know about addition equations, that the answer or the total is the sum and it goes at the top or at the part that joins together. And then you have the two parts. Well, we don't know the first part, but we know the second part, which is 58. So how would you go about figuring out this missing part? Go ahead, talk to your learning buddy. What might you do to solve this? Oh, Rafa. Would you like to hear what Rafa said? Rafa said he wants to try a number line because we've been using that. It's always great to try new strategies out and see if they work. So Rafa, what do you want me to do with this number line? 58 on the left and 70 on the right. Okay. Then what would you like me to do? Go to the next 10. So how much do I need to jump to go to the next 10? 2. Okay. And that puts me at what? 60. And then jump to 70. Okay. And how much is it to 70? Okay. So what's my answer? 12. Did you do it that way or did you think of another way? Oh, subtraction, like the algorithm we've been doing? Okay. Okay, so then what did you do? You ungrouped a 10. Okay. And that's 2. And oh, they match. So what's missing is 12. 2 ways that you could have solved this. Let's look at another one. 58 plus something equals 170. Okay. Well, 58 plus what? 2 equals 60. Okay. What should we do now? Are we at 170 yet? Oh, we could do 60 to 100. What if we did 60 to 160? How much would that be? If I jump from 60 to 160, it would be 100. So we could do 60 plus 100 equals 160. Okay, are we there yet? No. How many more? 10. 160 plus 10 equals 170. So how much did we add? 112. Now wait a minute. Pebble, you're noticing what I'm noticing. Back here, we had 58 plus 12 equals 70. And now we're trying to figure out 58 plus what equals 170. Did I need to do all of this math? If 58 plus 12 is 70, then 58 plus what is 170? We just need to add 100. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see what the next one is. Oh, 170 minus 58 equals, well, let's do a number bond. 170, 58. What with 58 made 170? 112, yeah. So 170 minus 112 equals 58. Excellent job, third graders. Ooh. 158 plus blank equals 170. Private think time. What's the missing part? What do you think? Talk to me. What are you noticing? You're noticing the 58 and the 70. Okay, and what did we know about 58 and 70? That there was 12, right? Okay. And you've got the hundreds, but they're both 100. Should we do a number line and see if it's 12? Oh, you know it's going to be 12. How do you know it's going to be 12? Because 58 plus 2 is 60, and 60 plus 10 is 70. Okay, so 158 plus 2, is 160. Okay, and 160 plus 10 is 170. So if I'm at 158, for our friends that like to see it, I'm just within the hundreds, but I'm still going plus 2 plus 10, because this is 160, right? Oh, so it's still 12, because the difference between 58 ones and 70 ones is always going to be 12? Okay, let's keep going. Oh, 158 minus something equals 48. What do you think? Rafa. Rafa said, well, Mrs. Wally, I know the whole, and I know one of the parts, and I need to find the other part. And to do that, I can subtract 48 from 158 to find out the other part. Should we try it and see? Do you agree with Rafa, or do you disagree, or are you not sure? Some of you are not sure, some of you disagree, some of you agree. Well, let's try it out and let's see if it works. Because in math, sometimes you've just got to try it to see if it works. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. But you can always learn. 158 minus 48. Well, 8 minus 8 is what? 0. 5 minus 4 is 1. 1 minus 0 is 1. It says 110. Does that make sense? 110 plus 48. Would that make 158? I think we found our answer. Because if you put these two together, they make 158. Okay. That's some good brain warm-up, isn't it? I want you to think about that more. And then maybe tomorrow we'll talk about it a little bit more on our next number talk. We're going to start something new today. Today, we're going to talk about multiplication. Now, I do believe you talked a little bit about it in second grade. Who remembers multiplication? Great. Today, we're going to talk about how to represent multiplication to find the total of equal groups. Sound good? All right, I'm going to go to my whiteboard and get my counters, because when you're learning something new or reviewing something you did a long time ago, it's important to use counters or manipulatives to help us remember and help our brain understand. So I'm going to go to my whiteboard. I'd like you to look up at this problem. It says find each sum by skip counting. I want you to go ahead and find each sum for number 1 and number 2, and then we'll talk about the answer in a minute. All right. So it says, find each sum by skip counting. So how many 2s do you see? Okay, and what did you get when you skip counted that many times? 14, okay? So you skip counted by 2 7 times. Let's do it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay, what about for number 2? How many 5s are there? There are 5 of them. Let's skip count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay. What is going on when you multiply numbers? What do you think is happening when you multiply numbers? I'm going to move my document camera just a little bit to make sure I have all my spots. I want to make sure. There. What is happening when you multiply numbers? Turn and tell your learning buddy. What do you think is going on when you multiply numbers? That's interesting, Pebble. Okay, Pebble says you skip count. Can you tell me some more? What do you mean by you skip count? Like the last problem where we did 5, 5, 5, 5, 5? Okay. But how is that multiplying? Oh, so these are groups of 5, and we're skip counting to find out how many there are altogether? Pebble, can you help me build that? Because I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. Can you help me build that a little and understand it a little bit better? Okay, so I grabbed some tools from the garage. And so you're saying when I skip count, it's like having this group of 5 and then another group of 5. Can you go ahead and build with your counters, third graders? See if you can help me understand what Pebble's trying to say. So 5, and this is a group of 5. Okay, and I have to do 5 of them. That's what you said, Pebble? 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So 5, 1 group, 2 group, 3 groups, 4 groups. Okay. Okay, third graders, do you have yours built? Do you have 5 groups of 5? Have you checked for accuracy and made sure there's actually 5 in each group? Okay, so Pebble, you're saying that this means when you skip counting by 5, it means you've got all these groups and they're equal. They all have 5 in them, okay. And when you skip count, you count all the groups up to find the total or the sum. Okay, let's try. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So multiplying is counting up equal groups of a number. Okay, what do you think, third graders? Some of you think that that's a great, okay, some of you aren't sure. Well, let's keep going. It says you can add to find the total number of objects in different groups. When the groups are equal, you can also multiply to find the total. So we're not going to draw a picture. We're going to use our counters. We'll get to drawing, but I think it's really important. We will need to draw the groups, but we're going to use our counters and pretend that they're, whatever your counter is, we're going to pretend that these are balloons. So it says draw a picture of 3 equal groups of balloons. So how many groups do we need to draw? 3, right? It says 3, let's get our highlighter out. It says 3 equal groups. So let's draw 3 circles on our whiteboard. Ready? You do it. 1, 2, 3. And then how many balloons in each group? 2, 2, 2. Okay. So now multiply 3 groups of 2. Well, how many balloons? 6. So 3 times 2 must be 6. You can model multiplication with equal groups. It says, circle the tennis balls to show 3 equal groups of 4 tennis balls. Now, I want us to build it because I think it's important to not just look at pictures when you're learning something new. It's important to touch it and move it. So how many equal groups does it say? 3 again. 3 circles. How many in each circle? How many tennis balls? 4. 4. 4. You do it with your counters. 4. Watch me write this. 3 groups of 4 equals, isn't that cool? How much? Count it up. What do you get? 12. Here's the picture. Do you see the 3 groups of 4? Oh, there it is. 3 groups of 4. Great. It says, use the picture of equal groups above. We're going to use what we built to show what the multiplication equation means. Fill in the blanks. The equals means, what does equal mean? Yeah, it's the same as. 3 is a factor. This 3 right here, just like in addition we have the parts, which are the addends. This is what we call a factor, and it tells us what? How many 3 groups of, tells us how many groups. The X means groups of. The 4, that's another factor telling us how many are in each group. And the answer is called the product. 12 is the product or the result of how many in each group, all put together. So when you see 3 times 4 equals 12, you can say 2 things. You can say 3 times 4 equals 12, or you can say 3 groups of 4 equals 12 to help you remember. Now, we are out of time, but that's okay. This is just our first lesson. So let's go over to the smartboard and talk about what your assignment's going to be today. So we're getting ready to multiply. Just the tip of the iceberg, like some people like to say. We're learning about multiplying. So today you're going to work on what you think multiplying is, and then writing multiplication equations for the pictures, drawing a picture of 4 equal groups of 3 buttons, and finishing the assignment on page 96. So page 95 and 96, okay? If you struggle with either of these things, that's okay, because this is the first day. You can ask your teacher when you check in with them, or tomorrow we're going to do it again. We're going to do a little bit of a different lesson, and we're going to go deeper into it. Meet me on up at the front camera for our affirmation. Third graders. It is really normal to feel like you don't really fit in or belong sometimes. That's a feeling that everyone has at some time in their life. But it's important for you to remember that you do belong. There are many people that care about you. The adults in your life care about you, your friends in your life care about you, and your family cares about you. So it's important that we remind ourselves. So today our affirmation is, I belong. I'm going to practice. I belong. Your turn. Excellent job. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Hey kids, we want to see your work. Just send your pictures and your stories to TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.